So what's actually funny about Union County is I interned here when I was in law school. I was an intern in this office in 2018. And after that internship, I really learned that being a prosecutor was what I loved and what I wanted to do. And so I spoke to my superiors at that time, and they really recommended being a law clerk for a year. So I actually clerked over across the street at the Union County Courthouse for a year, actually for formerly Judge Daniel, now Prosecutor Daniel. Everything comes full circle. And after a year of that, I applied here and was hired. Interning really solidified that this was what I in fact wanted to do. What's great about Union County is the way they utilize their interns. Specifically, when I was an intern here, I actually had the opportunity to argue in court and appear on the record and argue detention hearings, other kind of pretrial motions. I worked on substantive motions for more senior assistant prosecutors in the office. I got to pick their brains about the legal career. And I think interning here was one of the most rewarding experiences of my law school experience, ironically. I think it's really great that I can tie law school back to kind of being here at the Union County Prosecutor's Office for a piece of my law school career. So one of the unique things about working at a prosecutor's office, and I think this is true for most offices, is that you're kind of thrown in the deep end pretty quick. And I don't say that in a negative way. You're given a large sense of responsibility from day one. I know a lot of friends from law school that went into the private sector, and they spend a lot of time document review, writing briefs, doing research for partners, kind of doing all the behind the scenes work. When you work at a prosecutor's office, you are thrown right in from day one. When I started here, I started in our appellate unit. I actually was arguing municipal appeals in front of Superior Court judges within my first month of being here. It was a daunting experience. It was nerve-wracking, but kind of getting thrown in the deep end is sometimes a good thing because you learn pretty quickly what works, what doesn't work, what you have to say, what you shouldn't say. What I really like about being a prosecutor is serving the public, being a public servant, working for the community. A lot of the people that I meet on a day-to-day basis, specifically victims of crimes, are people you're meeting at some of the lowest points of their life. They've been victimized in some way. They've had their property stolen, their car stolen, their home burglarized. They've been carjacked. They've been assaulted, and these are traumatic experiences for people. Delivering justice for victims isn't necessarily about securing a conviction or putting someone in prison. Sometimes, by being able to hold someone accountable for what someone else has done to them, it brings a sense of closure to a victim, and it allows them to move forward with their lives, whatever the resolution may be, whether it's probation, whether it's a jail sentence, whatever that is. It's something to bring back to a victim and say, somebody was held accountable for what happened to you. And with that, I find great pride in that, and that is really one of the reasons why I wanted to come to a prosecutor's office and try to fight for people that often don't have the resources to fight for themselves. My advice to someone who wants to become a prosecutor one day is practice compassion. Being a prosecutor really requires you to be able to deal with people and understand them and where they're coming from and what they're going through. Because in the same way, there are times where you deal with victims who are very reluctant, victims that don't really want to cooperate with you, witnesses that saw an integral piece of your case that have a really bad feeling towards law enforcement. And you have to have really hard conversations with these people and try to talk to them and convince them that reporting what they saw or coming into court and testifying is what's right, and it's the right thing to do, because at the end of the day, as corny as it may sound, honesty is really the best policy, and my job as a prosecutor is to try to get to the truth. And if somebody saw something or heard something that may or may not help my case or that might negatively impact my case, I don't really care. What's important is that I'm able to bring all the facts of what happened to the best of my ability into a courtroom and have members of the community, by way of a jury, understand them, assess them, and the public make a determination as to what the appropriate way to handle this situation is, whether it's a conviction, whether it's an acquittal, whatever it is. But having compassion, I think, is one of the cornerstones of being an assistant prosecutor.